Hey guys, okay, so this is our university magazine called Scratch That, and it's the one that in third year of our creative writing course, all the third years sort of work on together, and I managed to get my piece into it, which is lovely. And this is the most experimental piece of writing that I've ever done, and so I really wanted to talk to you guys about it and the process of writing it, as well as like reading it aloud. So the very interesting thing about it is it was born from this idea of I've always wanted a pet crow. I thought that would be so cool, but they are illegal to own and you can't buy one as a pet. So I kept thinking more about crows, like it's got this beautiful symbolism and they are so smart and they can recognize faces and they mate for life. And this weird narrative entered my head of these like this enemies to best friends sort of, where a character kills the crow's mate and then they can recognize that person's face and hates them, but eventually it's found out that it's this accident, and they end up growing closer together and being friends. But I also thought of like the more horrible term of that, of like intentionally killing a crow's mate to have that kind of narrative. And I thought about what kind of person would do that and how would they behave, and that really birthed the story because I wanted to tell this strange woman, and it was almost writing it from the perspective of like how a man would write a woman, you know. She's got like this really interesting car, it doesn't wear underwear, like it was this sort of like she's strange, like you read her and you're like, this is a weird person, and that's sort of like how that could happen. But it was just kind of cool. And around this time I was also studying within our poetry and poetics class was these poetry devices, and there's one that is a sound poem, and so within a sound poem you try to replicate the sounds of a particular animal or something like that. And a crow is really interesting because you have the crow sound, you have the raven sound, you have the caw and just the caw sound that crows make, and I really wanted to put that within this, and that's why I want to read it aloud to you guys. So yeah, okay, this is Carnivorous Corvus by me. Black nails click against the phone as she swipes up on another viral video of a crow. It holds amethyst in its beak, which it adorns its human companion with. Swirling the remains of an iced chai latte, she watches the melting ice mix with the spices. Her legs are crossed. She wears no undergarments, only black lace over chiffon and organza. The oat dregs in the bottom of her glass form the distinct image of a raven, Corvus. She leaves the Soul Cauldron's parking lot in her 1967 candy apple red Ford Mustang. The passenger seat full of tarot cards to review for her followers. A pair of ravens fly side by side, mated for life, tangled in a vortex of their own design. Dropping nuts onto the road, one swoops down. Her pedal hits the steel husk of the Mustang. The bird becomes paste against the asphalt. She slows. A beak crashes against the rear window. Devastated at the state of his mate, she stops. His body slumps to the ground, laying bare among the granite rocks. Her car door shuts with the delicate creature inside, cradled in her arms. Ruffled feathers splay across her skin. She whispers spells against his wings, kisses his forehead and wraps him tenderly in a coat on her lap. At home, she places seeds in a bowl of water beside a perch and an amethyst between the sheets of her heated bed. She feeds him unshelled peanuts and strokes matted feathers down with the back of her finger. Once the food is delivered, they sit on the black silk sheets of her bed and watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Corvus in the warm crook of her neck. He's in her videos now. She's reaching view counts beyond her wildest dreams. I love you. Good night, she whispers before they fall to sleep. Corvus glides alongside the car, then attaches himself like a cape to her shoulder as she steps out. The chilly air ruffles their black coats. Her heels click along the pavement. The slit in her skirt lets in cold air, filtered only by her crisscross tights. As they step towards the Soul Cauldron, She looks at a new pack of tarot cards in the window, the skeleton facing hers. Talons scrape her shoulder as his weight shifts into the air. Grass seeds stick in her hair and clothes as she runs to catch up. Her stockings ladder like stretch marks on a demonic beast. Thin lace sticks to her as a second skin. The coat drops from her shoulders. Jewelry slithers from her neck. Crystals drop, droplets drip from her wrists. Purple gems shine in her footprints. As her heel hits the road, it snaps. She stops, is stopped. Rocks glisten in every pore. Skin unpicked from the seams, laying to rest on a bed of asphalt and glass. Gravel grates raw flesh away from bones. Corvus contorts. His tail rises like a flag to signal fresh meat. His beak breaks open. He arcs his head back and caws, calling more crows to help cut the stringy flesh of the corpse. Headlights carve the remains into sections for them to mark. The driver tries but fails to shoo the flock away from my cracked open rib cage. Their beaks pull apart my aorta and drink straight from the chambers of my heart. They burrow their face through my bones and bite. My closed casket assured as my limbs are broken into parts. Claws cut into my corneas, and fledglings eat the vitreous fluid that falls. Wide is my mouth for Corvus to crawl in and bite at my tongue, getting feathers stuck between my teeth. Black nails broken, dress cut open, asphalt-stained lips, bones bare beside my murderer's beloved. So that's it, which, thank you guys so much for listening. It was really, really interesting to write, and that was the big sort of transition, this sort of second page here. And that was the thing I didn't tell you about either, that I had that shift from third person of the woman's perspective to first person. So it's almost like at the start she's narrating her life, that she has this cool kind of interesting world that she lives in, which we all sort of want that, like, you know, I'd love to have like a witch talk and, you know, like have that sort of strange like world, but then it is very like, it's too sharp and too like she's dying, so she can't help but not put herself back into the position of author. So yeah, it was really cool, and like and Corvus is this like super smart crow, and it is super experimental, which a huge shout out to my editor, Sophie Tanassen, for like making this actually read really well. And that was the great thing about Scratch That they really helped craft those works. And it was an amazing project to be a part of. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you sort of enjoyed that reading. It wasn't the greatest reading, but I really enjoyed writing it, and it was sort of the most experimental piece I've ever done, and probably the most worked on short story I've ever written, because there was so many parts where I just kept changing it to change the language and the words and make it feel weird. But I had a great time, so thank you so much guys. I really appreciate you being here on my channel. So bye.